Welcome to Hybiz News. My name is Suresh Kochatar. 5th August 2020 is going to be a historic day for India and Indians across the world. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi touches down in Ayodhya, history is going to be made. Ahead of Ram Mandir's Bhumi Pujan, let's look at a brief history, how the battle was won in the Indian courts. The issue remained mired in a legal wrangle for decades before the apex court in a unanimous judgment awarded the disputed site to the Ram Janmabhoomi Trust. Here is the short history. It began in 1885. The first case related to the dispute was filed in January 1885 in the court of the subject of Faizabad by Mahant Raghubir Das, regarded as a massacre of the temple movement. The case was filed against Lord Woodhouse, who was serving as the Secretary for India, responsible for the governance of British India at that time. The Mahant had requested permission to build a temple on the Chabutra outside the Babri Masjid. His plea was obviously rejected. Now let's go back to 1949-50. In a state of suspended animation since 1885, the dispute made headlines when the idol of Lord Ram appeared exactly at the proclaimed birthplace on the intervening night of 22nd and 23rd December 1949. This was followed by the pouring in of Hindu devotees and protest by Muslims. To keep the situation under control, the local administration declared the area as a disputed site and locked the gates. This led Gopal Singh Visharad to filing a case in the Faizabad Civil Court on 16th of January 1950. Seeking exclusive rights for performing the puja and a permanent injunction prohibiting the removal of the idol from the Janmasthan. In fact, we Indians don't call it an idol, we call it the Murti. The court issued a temporary injunction and the order was later confirmed by the division bench of the Allahabad High Court. On 24th April 1950, the state of Uttar Pradesh, which then had a Congress government led by Govind Ballabh Pant, appealed against the injunction order. On 5th December 1950, Paramahans Ramachandra Das, head of the Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas, an organization linked to the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, filed cases seeking continuation of the puja that was being done before. He, however, withdrew the case as it was dismissed. In 1959 to 1961, that's a period we need to look at right now. On 17th December 1959, the Nirmohi Akhada, one of the 14 akhadas recognized by the Akhil Bharatiya Akhada Parishad, filed a case seeking possession of the site, claiming to be the true custodian of Rama Janmabhoomi and demanding that the charge of transfer be handed over to them of the disputed site from the receiver. 18th December 1961, the Uttar Pradesh Sunni Central Board of Waqf entered into the fray along with 9 Muslim residents of Ayodhya, just days ahead of the expiry of the 12-year limitation period, after which it would have lost the claim to the site. The Waqf board and other litigants claimed that the mosque and the adjoining land and demanded the removal of the idols. A photograph of the Babri Masjid dating back to the early 1900s, secured from the British Library Board, and a photograph of the Babri Masjid from the earlier 1900s was also presented. On 1st of February 1986, the district judge directed the gates of the structure to be unlocked for Hindu worshippers. The same year, Muslims set up the Babri Masjid Action Committee to protest against the decision. Now let's come to 1989. The former VHP Vice President and retired judge of the Allahabad High Court, Deokinandan Agarwala, filed a case on 1st of July 1989 at the Lucknow bench of the Allahabad High Court in the name of Bhagwan Ram Lalla Virajman. Making a reference to the 1928 edition of the Gazette of H.R. Neville, the district gazetteer of Faizabad, he claimed that Babur had destroyed the temple in 1528 and built a mosque in its place. On 14th of August 1989, the Allahabad High Court ordered the maintenance of status quo of the site. The same year, and here is the crucial part, Congress, which all along claimed that they were not in favor of construction of the Ram Janmabhoomi temple, suddenly got to remember what happened then. The same year, the Congress government at the center, led by Rajiv Gandhi, allowed the Vishwa Hindu Parishad to perform the Shilanyas ceremony, in which the first stone of the proposed Ram temple was put in place. which is why you hear arguments from Randeep Singh Surjewala and Digvijay Singh that it was Rajiv Gandhi who laid the foundation stone for the Ram temple and not Prime Minister Modi who is going to do it on 5th of August. Interesting. Now, all the 4 suits were clubbed together and brought before the Allahabad High Court in 1989 on an application by the then Advocate General of Uttar Pradesh. Now, let's come to 1992. The structure at the disputed site was demolished on 6 December 1992. It was a day that saddened many Indians. Definitely, it gladdened many on the other side. Different ways to look at history. But 6 December 1992 was the day that marked a turning point in the history of Ayodhya. On 16 December later that year, Justice Libraham Commission was set up to inquire into the demolition of the disputed structure and give a report within 3 months. President's rule was imposed and Kalyan Singh's Bharatiya Janata Party led government was dismissed. In fact, Mr. Kalyan Singh had assured the Supreme Court that the disputed structure would stand and he would ensure it. He failed and hence he was dismissed. 3 other BJP led governments were also dismissed soon after. Let's now come to 1993. At this time, there was a Congress government at the center, which was led by P.V. Narasimha Rao. And that government passed the acquisition of certain area of the Ayodhya Act on 3rd of April 1993 to acquire all the disputed area, that is about 67.7 acres of land under the suits pending in the Allahabad High Court. Ismail Faruqi and various others filed petition challenging the validity of this act because basically it brought together the entire disputed land into just about 67 acres, and that was the heart of the dispute. Now let's come to 1994. In 1994, the Supreme Court on the question of the acquisition of the religious place by the government, that is the Narasimha Rao government, decided that a mosque was not an essential part of the practice of the religion of Islam, and that the namaz could be offered anywhere, even in the open, and hence the acquisition of that particular area by the state is not prohibited by the provisions of the Constitution of India. The government was allowed to include 2.77 acres on which the disputed structure once stood in the 67.7 acres of land to be acquired under the acquisition of certain area at Ayodhya Act 1993. In 1996, the Allahabad High Court started recording the oral evidence. That was in about July 1996. 2002 to 2005 period. Now let's look at this part. 3 High Court judges began hearing the case in April 2002 to determine who the site belongs to and directed the Archaeological Survey of India to excavate and find if there is a temple that existed below the disputed structure as claimed by the Hindus. The ASI began work in June 2003 and found the claim to be true. In fact, there was a scientific demonstration of the entire thing in which the ASI went deep down looking at the remains of the temple that was there. They're not really sure whether it's a Hindu temple, but there was a temple below the structure, and some of the things that they found at the outside part of the temple were Hindu markings. The findings were then rejected by the Muslim parties. In the same month, the Central Bureau of Investigation filed a charge sheet against the then Deputy Prime Minister Lal Krishna Advani and 7 others, including Murli Manohar Joshi. In August 2003, the court ordered 7 other leaders to stand trial, while Advani did not face any charges, being the country's then Deputy Prime Minister. Today, Kalyan Singh enjoys the same privilege. In March 2003, the Supreme Court disallowed all religious activity at the acquired land and stated that an interim order should be operative till the disposal of the suits are pending before the Allahabad High Court to maintain communal harmony. Well, that is an oxymoron if you ask me. In 2004, the Congress-led United Progressive Alliance came to power. Soon after, a court ruled that the order exonerating Advani should be reviewed, and the Congress was naturally happy. The Libraham Commission, which had been set up to probe the sequence of events leading to the demolition of the disputed structure, submitted its report to the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh after being granted 48 extensions. If you remember right, they were given just 3 months. So they went back from 3 months, asked for 48 extensions, and finally in 2009, they submitted the report to the UPA Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. The Allahabad High Court, in its judgment on 30th of September 2010, divided the dispute cited into the land into 3 parts. 1/3 for the Sunni Waqf Board, 1/3 for the Nirmohi Akhada, and 1/3 for the party for Ram Lalla. This is the easy way out for the court because nobody would be unhappy or nobody would be really happy. In December 2010, the Akhil Bharatiya Hindu Mahasabha and the Sunni Waqf Board challenged the High Court decision in the apex court. Now, this is the turning point because here comes the final order of the Supreme Court and how it progressed from there. The Supreme Court in May 2011 stayed the Allahabad High Court order to divide the land equally in 3 parts, stating that the status quo had to be maintained. So, it was back to square one again. The Bharatiya Janata Party Member of Parliament Subramaniam Swamy filed a plea in the Supreme Court on 26th of February 2016 seeking the construction of Ram Temple at the disputed site. On 21st of March 2017, an out-of-court settlement was suggested by the then Chief Justice of India, Justice J.S. Kehar. The 3-judge bench was constituted by the Supreme Court on 7th August to hear the pleas challenging the 1994 Ismail Farooqi verdict of the Allahabad High Court. The next day, the UP Shia Central Waqf Board told the apex court that a mosque could be built in a Muslim-dominated area at a distance from the site. Here was a change from the earlier stance that we saw that a mosque had to come up right at that spot as was demanded by other political leaders. On 11th of September, the Chief Justice of the Allahabad High Court was directed by the Supreme Court to nominate 2 additional district judges as observers to deal with the upkeep of the disputed site within 10 days. On 1st of December, 32 civil rights activists entered the fray with the pleas challenging the 2010 verdict to the High Court. Now, it's a mess basically. A lot of people now got involved in it. Initially, there were very few parties. In September, in 2018 actually, the Supreme Court started hearing the civil appeals in February 2018. In March, it rejected an all interim pleas, including that of Dr. Swamy, seeking to intervene. In April, a plea was filed by Advocate Rajiv Dhawan, who is representing some of the Muslim bodies, to refer the issue to the reconsideration of the observation, the Ismail Farooqi judgment, to a larger bench. So, the 1994 judgment was supposed to be now referred to a larger bench. On 6th of July, the UP government claimed that the other side wanted to delay the decision by seeking the reconsideration to a larger bench. Obviously, this is a 134-year-old case now. So, it kept on getting extended and different judgments, different courts, and from the British days to the modern Indian days. In September 2018, the Supreme Court declined to refer the case to a 5-judge constitution bench. 2019, Chief Justice of India, now Justice Gogoi, constituted a 5-judge bench, constitution bench that is, to hear the appeals. The Supreme Court appointed a mediation panel to resolve the issue. But the mediation panel obviously failed because none of the parties were ready to take the side of it. The court then began daily hearings in the case from 6th of August. On 9th of November 2019, the Supreme Court in a historic verdict in the Ram Janmabhoomi case allotted the land of the disputed structure and the structure around it to the Hindus for the construction of the temple. The Muslims were to be allocated a separate 5-acre site at a prominent location in Ayodhya for the construction of a mosque. There were definitely many sides to the entire judgment. The communists were naturally angry, the rightists were happy, the Muslims were not happy, and there was kind of chaos all around for some time. But the main thing that the court looked at was to see whether there was a religious factor to it. Was there a religious proof? And ASI officials, including the reputed KK Mohammed, actually testified with the court saying that yes, there was a structure below the disputed site, which the Supreme Court took into consideration later. This is from the Allahabad High Court judgment. And finally, the issue almost is settled. But then there are many politicians on the either side who are not happy, particularly on the right, on the left side and on the right side too. They wanted everything, but they got something. But basically, the Hindus were happy because the Ram Janmabhoomi Trust finally actually had a site to build a temple now. Mr. Parasaran, who fought the case in the Supreme Court, even donated his house to be the office of this trust. And that is what we are all here for today. On 5th of August 2020, as Prime Minister Modi gets ready to lay the Bhumi Pujan, to do the Bhumi Pujan at the site in Ayodhya, it's a moment to look back and ask us, look at our history and look at the various facets various places where religious structures were demolished or not demolished. There was Somnath as an example. Then down south it was Tipu Sultan. But at the same time, one got to remember that sometimes history teaches us lessons. Because as they say, if you don't learn from history, you are condemned to repeating it. Thank you for watching.